Hello everyone, it is Leah from Dime Culture, and today we are going to be using the October subscriber perk package to create this autumn poster. The supplies I'll be using today are going to be my pencil and my favorite pen for line work. I might even mix it up a little and go in with a thinner pen as well to just add in some details into my line work. And then I'm going to be using paper. Now for the drawing part of the leaves, I am going to be using some of my scrap paperwork, which is this Canson watercolor. You can use anything. You can use printer paper, you can use sketchbook paper, you can use notebook paper that's lined. At the beginning half of this activity, it's really about just defining your shapes, getting comfortable with the leaves, and creating the details that you want to create on that sheet. Because what we're going to do in order to create our final poster is we're going to trace those leaves with tracing paper, place them on the watercolor paper in their final layout format, and then use our watercolors to color them in. Now I'm going to be using watercolors. I'm going to be using my favorite palette for watercolors. You don't have to go and use your watercolors if you're not feeling it, you know. Use whatever supply you'd like. You could go with your colored pencils. You could use your markers, you know. At the stage of coloring in, use whatever you'd like to use. The first leaf we will be drawing is the ash tree leaf. The ash tree leaf has several little leaves that branch off of an individual leaf. I call it a little leaf package. So in order to get started, all you have to do is draw a straight line, and then at the end draw a tiny little triangle, and then throughout your line draw 6 little offshoots. An ash leaf tree, their leaves have multi-leaves, so it's a bundle of leaves, and they're small little teardrop shaped leaves. And there's about 7 of them per leaf. It depends on the size of the tree itself. Some may have, only 5 or maybe more than that. It's all dependent on the leaf itself. And what's great about drawing this type of leaf is that you can move the mini leaves around. So I've decided to take one and have 2 of them overlapping. You could do multi-overlapping. It's all up to you when it comes to the direction of it. In the October booklet that I'm supplying all my subscribers, I show how you can do that as well. This leaf has a simple 5-step process in order to create your final good-looking inked leaf. And the best way to go about it prior to inking is just be really rough with your lines. What we're doing with the pencil is just placing where we'd like to see things and then redefining it again with the pencil until we get it exactly how we want it to look. Once that's done, we're taking our ink, our pen. You could use a ballpoint pen. Any kind of pen really is good to help you then further define it. So you're going to give these leaves a more defined line, and also by using dark black ink, you're making it more noticeable. Once you're done inking, go in and then erase all your pencil marks. A tip for doing the ash tree leaf is when you're doing the little mini leaves, start at the tip of it and then bring it down to the base. That way you are creating a more pointed teardrop. And when you're getting to the point where you're going to draw the little offshoots that attach to the long stem, you'll have less of an accidental boo-boo, where the line doesn't exactly line up to the middle or where you wanted it placed. Once you're done your outside lines, just go in and add some little swooshes to the inside of the leaf to give it motion so you can see where the leaves themselves form. Now, for the next leaf, we are going to be doing the bur oak leaf. And again, we're going to start with one solid line to give us a direction. And then from there, about a quarter way down, I want you to start drawing a large circle. And once you're done that large circle, go back to the bottom half, draw your little triangular shape, and then from there, start drawing some offshoots. Bur oak leaves are quite unique in the fact that they have this round bulb shape that have pointing ends that go out, and then at the lower end of the leaf they actually just have smaller offshoots. One nice feature that about this leaf, the bur oak one, is that the pointed ends are actually rounded. So the offshoot areas, they have a round curve to them versus a sharp pointing end. And by having this shaped leaf in on the poster, it creates a unique dynamic between the ash tree leaf as well as the birch tree leaf. So once you've got all your offshoot lines mapped out where you want it to go, start from the bottom of your triangular shape of the leaf and then just start to trace around it. And you're going to be loose. You want to go around and curve and get close to the stem of the leaf, and then go back out again. And if you find that you don't like the shapes of your curves, just go back in and reshape them. Just remember, at the top of the bur oak, it is more of a rounder shape, where at the bottom it's more open and slender. Once you feel confident, or more like once you actually like the look of your leaf, grab your ink pen again and do your final definition lines and give it shape, its final shape. Now, at this stage, if you do make an accidental boo-boo like I do, you're going to see it soon, it's coming up, it's okay. Let the leaf take its own life, its own form. Because what's so nice about leaves themselves is that though several of the species, pretty much all of the species, they look symmetrical. They look perfectly symmetrical. But when you actually look at them and examine them and you're creating them, you don't want them to be identical on both sides. You want there to be some variation in the creation of it. Once you have all of the outside done, go in and do the inside veins. And for the areas that offshoot, that have the little bumps, give that a more defined vein inside. And then if you'd like, you can use a thinner pen and go in and give each of those little veins a little offshoots, a little tiny little veins. And for the small veins, you don't have to do extensive detailing. You could just dot it. You can just be loose and free with it. While I was looking into what type of leaves to draw, I learned that oak trees have over 600 species of trees. So that is a lot of different types of leaf shapes that are actually quite similar. And I posted on Instagram a cute little illustration I did after seeing all that and being inspired by the fall. So if you want to, see it, definitely head to my Instagram. All right, now let's go to the last leaf of today, and that one is a birch leaf. What I like about birch leaves is that they have the basic shape that you see, that typical teardrop rounded leaf shape. But what's different about them is that they're pointy. They have little spikes on the end. And the actual process of drawing this is quite simple. All you do is draw a straight line, oval teardrop, and then start from the base and start spiking your lines out. And then from there, once you feel like you have the right shape to your leaf, or maybe you want to make it a little bit fatter or slender, do whichever type of size, because these leaves do come in different shapes based on the age of the tree, the health of the tree, I believe, as well. So yeah, play with it. If you want it fatter, make it fatter. But once you're done, do your black lines and do the outside first. Now, when you do the center vein, what's interesting about the birch leaf is that when you look at them, the inside veins, the smaller ones that offshoot from the center, are straight lines, and they are mirrored on both sides. For this stage, if you'd like, you could use a ruler to make it precise, but let's have more fun with it. Let's be a little free and loose and just go by hand. If your lines aren't perfectly straight, that's okay. This is all about just relaxing and creating something that you can say you made and that you actually feel like you were able to spend some time and relax with your day. You know, do some art therapy time, some self-healing time. Some time for yourself. That's what this activity booklet is for the month of October. All right, now that we have finished drawing all 3 of our leaves, the next stage is to trace it onto tracing paper and then take that tracing paper and put it on our watercolor paper. So I'm not going to show you the whole process of me tracing out every single leaf again, but I am going to show you this leaf while I talk about tracing. What's nice about using tracing paper to trace out your final layout is that this way you can figure out exactly where you want everything to be. And from there, you have many ways that you can go about tracing onto your final piece of paper. One way is to use carbon paper, where you then just draw on top of it, on top of your good paperwork. Or you can use a light box, which is what I did. So what you do is you tape this onto something really bright, and then you take your good paper and you place it on top. You tape that down into placement, and then you trace over the lines that you're seeing. You could use a light box, you could use a tablet, you could use a window for this. But before we get to the next stage, let's just go over what we've done so far. So we've taken the step-by-step instructions in the October subscriber perk package and created our leaf drawings. So we have 3 different leaves. We have the ash tree, bur oak, and a birch leaf. And from there, we traced it onto tracing paper. Let me just flip this over so you can see the tracing paper better. So I traced them into a form that I thought looked nice, and then I added on Autumn Love. Now this stage, adding in letters, that's all personal preference for you. If you want to do that, go right ahead, have fun with it. Don't feel like your letters have to be fancy or perfect, you know, just let go, let loose if you're going to do it, and having imperfect letters actually makes your poster more personal, more creative. So now that I have it here and I placed everything out, I then traced from this onto this. And you can't really see it in camera just because I used a really light pencil, but I used a light box, as I mentioned previously, to trace out my layout. So now that I've got it all onto this paper, let's start actually painting everything in. Let's get started with the birch leaf. All right, so for this one, there are many ways you can go about filling in a solid shape. But because the birch leaf has these tiny little spiked ends, what I decided to do was start from the center of the leaf and pull my brush out. So what I did was I pushed down the belly of the brush down onto the paper, and then I swiped to the side and spiked it out. And then from there, what I would go in and fill in some spikes, add some extra spikes on the side. And I just went down the whole leaf from the center. And then on the other side, I did the exact same thing. Now, going this route, I did find that I made a couple of mistakes. So it's okay if you go outside of your lines or if you miss the line and have to go back and refill in some white areas. Watercolor, what's so great about it is the fact that because the paper and your watercolor is still wet, if you go back and to fill in that little area, the water will start to blend in on itself, right? So the colors will start to blend. Now, it also depends on the paper that you are using. I am using, Canson watercolor, and their paper is nice. I like using it, but it does dry pretty quickly. So when you use this kind of paper, you either have to use a lot more water than you typically would for other types of paper, or you just need to work a little bit faster. But as you can see, when I went back over it to give it a more of a goldeny color, there was no problem. You can't see any issues. It's not like you reworked the paper. With your autumn leaves, what I've done is I went with warmer and slightly cool tones. And I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. So when fall's coming, all the colors for the leaves and the trees, they start getting warm, right? They start shifting to your reds and your oranges and even yellows. But the air and the sky, it starts cooling down. So what I did was for this leaf was use my oranges and give it kind of that fiery burnt feeling. I added in some, yellow with it to give it some extra oomph. And for the yellow that I added in, I just let it do its own thing. So I just dropped the watercolor down and I let it flow. So that's what's really nice about that big open spaced one for the birch. It was just open enough that the watercolors could flow wherever you wanted it to go. Now, the next one that I am going to be filling in here is the bur oak one. And for the bur oak, I went with cool tones. So I went in and I used some blues and greens. But what I did was to make sure that it stuck with the warmer tones of the other paints that I'm using is that I used warm blues. So I used my French ultramarine and my Cascade green. And these two colors, the Cascade green and the French ultramarine, in the spectrum of colors, they lean towards a red tone. So that makes them warm colors, despite the fact that they are blues and greens, which are known to be on the color wheel to be cooler. When filling in your leaf shapes, do not outline them with your watercolor and then go back in and fill it in, because then you'll end up getting an outlined look, unless that's the look you're going for, but most likely it's not. You want it to all flow and be this one solid color. So what you need to do is, what I'm doing here, is outline small spots and then fill it in and bring it all together. And then when you're done filling in this one spot, go to the next and then sweep it back into the next color. This way, each color will blend into one another and it will have a flowing effect to your colors. So the last leaf that I chose to go with was the birch leaf, obviously, seeing as how we've gotten the other two done. And what I did first was I used the stem of the leaves. Okay. First, I guess I should say this. When I traced down the ash leaf, what I did was only draw down the stems. And then from there, I knew it would give me a guiding spot for when I paint in the leaves themselves. So how I went about creating the leaves was I took my paintbrush. I started with the tip on the end of the part that attaches to the stem. And then I pushed the belly down as I brushed out and then lifted, so I got the sharp tip again. And then I went to the next side and I did the exact same motion, but then outwards. This way you're creating the same shape that we had been drawing, but now we don't have an outline. And you don't have to go this route. If you'd like, you could definitely keep the outline lines, trace the entire thing, but I found this way to be a little bit more creatively freeing for this stage, because this is one of those leaf shapes that if you get comfortable with painting, it can become one of those staple leaves that you can use as filler during painting other type of things like flower bundles or basically bouquet flowers. But any kind of pattern, it's a really fun one to start with and use and start bringing into your arsenal of fillers. What I did for this one also was, once I finished filling in the actual leaf petal shape section of the leaf, I went in and I grabbed the same color that I used for the stem and I pointed it at the edge, so then that color can blend in with the fiery red of the leaves. As this leaf is being finished up, let's just quickly discuss colors. So I chose to go with a more fall-inspired, palette of color choices. I went with kind of vibrant tones that have that fiery feeling that to me encompass fall. You yourself don't have to go the same route that I am going with your monthly activity. If your favorite color is pink and purples, use those colors. But if you're feeling the need to branch out or you want to be more maybe realistic, go ahead and even Google what these type of tree leaves look like in the fall and maybe go more on a realistic side. It's all up to you. That's what's so great about these monthly activities is that I'm giving you a guiding line of where you can start, and then that way you can let your own creativity flow through this activity during your healing with art time. Now, at this stage in the video, you are going to be watching me just quickly put out my letter work. And for the word love, what I did was use brush lettering with one of my brush pens, and I moved so slow when I did each letter. So if you are feeling uncomfortable with brush lettering or you're just getting started with it, my tip to you is go slow. I prefer to write slow when I'm doing things on my final pieces of artwork because that way when I move fast, I can make mistakes, or maybe I won't brush the line down in the same curved tone, like curving direction as I want it. This way, if you move slow, you're more likely to have better control over how you're shaping your letters. Just remember, if you are going to be bringing in words, have fun with it. Don't put pressure on yourself to have these font perfect, just like you see for hand lettering calligraphers online kind of quality of words. I want you to create something that you can say, yes, I did that. Yes, that is me right there on that page. I want you to feel pride in what you've done. So be, personable. Personable? I don't know if that's the right word, guys. I just want you to feel like be relaxed. Just do whatever you want. If you have a certain type of lettering that you like doing, use that. Or if you're more comfortable actually typing it out and tracing out something that you had written in Word, for example, do that. The options for your creativity are endless, so you do what you feel more comfortable doing. So we are about to reach the end of the video, and I just want to say thank you so much to all of you that are watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you. If you are a subscriber to me here on Dime Culture for YouTube, thank you so much for subscribing. If you are not following me on Instagram and you'd like to, definitely follow the link in the description section below. I post daily things there. And if you would like to get in on this mailing list activity, fun time, there is a link in the description below so that you can get sent this same booklet. Now, if you are watching this video outside of October 2019 and you are from the future, just know that there is going to be a monthly activity for the month in which you are watching this. So still follow that link, hit join, and you'll be sent a booklet. Okay, guys, that is it. That's all I've got to say. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you would like to subscribe, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, everyone, stay magical. And remember, I believe in you.